Good day, my friend. Notice this groovy light. This is the last day of our road trip, and I have no idea what time it is. We have the daylight saving. Is it daylight saving? Daylight savings? I never know. I don't care. So I'm all completely confused. It doesn't really matter, but I wanted to get this out of the way because we've been talking about things, and I sometimes things hit me. And what has hit me lately regarding the saga, we're going to call it the saga. Candace, Erica, TPUSA, whatever you want to call this ball of wax, is sometimes we have to stop and say, okay, let's think like lawyers, shall we? Now, this is not good. We are paid to be pessimistic. We're the most pessimistic people in the world. We see things you don't see. We anticipate things we hope never come. Never. You ever seen a will? You know how you think about a will? A will is the only instrument that takes place after death. Normally, death stops all operations. Death ends everything except for a will. It activates. It kicks in. So you have to have the simultaneous death clause. What if this? What if it's a husband and wife? What if the husband dies first and the wife dies first? They both die together. You pick a personal representative, an administrator. What if they die? What if they die before this? What if you don't have children? What if the children die before the children of this one? They dies before this guy. What if this guy gets hit by a train? This guy what if this one dies? You're always thinking about the worst terrible thing. Okay, he dies and this one dies. Oh my God. He becomes incapacitated. What happens to this? Everything that we do, living will, proxies, we're always thinking disaster. It's what we do. And what we're missing the point here is that this TPUSA thing, you know it's over with. I mean, it's over with. It's stick a fork in it. This is just the last throws. They're trying to pull as much money out of it as possible. Don't be surprised if I'm just saying, I have no proof of this, but don't be surprised if they're liquidating or people are breaking off and trying to take their piece and move on, because this was talk about a money pit, but in a good way. It was a money tree. It was the most incredible thing in the world. It was wonderful. And it's over with. It's done. It's a laughingstock. And when it goes laughingstock, that's it. Oh my God. It's become, you see it all the time. You see it in politics. You see it in a name. And what's happening is we have to stop for a second and assess this thing carefully from the viewpoint, I say, as a lawyer. Now, sometimes that doesn't sound like a good thing, but sometimes it's a very good thing. Because it's very, very, very bare bones. And sometimes we have to look at what's really happening here. You see, because we have to begin with a very simple proposition. Very simple. Movements, and that's kind of what this was. Charlie, TPUSA, it was Charlie. Nobody thought about Turning Point USA. It was Charlie. Movements, they things happen because people believe in them. People grow because the voices inspire them. TPUSA was really a great message, and it was so terrific because I think it stood for something which was great. It's something that we needed. And these organizations and these movements survive because somebody is willing rather to tell the truth. And the truth, we talk about this all the time. We talk about it, and you have said this before. Oh, the truth. I love Candace because she tells the truth. Oh, yeah. And remember, the truth is what gets you into trouble. Remember that. Anybody who tells you, you know the whole thing about you can't handle the truth, that's more true than you can imagine, speaking of truth. But now we're in kind of like in the settling up. It's over. The patient is dead. Patient's over. We're just kidding ourselves. And the problem is, who's going to tell the truth, even when the truth makes a bunch of people uncomfortable? And that's what's happening right now. Erica, come on, it's over with. She's a joke. It's done. It's almost like, when you have a tree in your front yard and you call the arborist or whoever the hell it is, and he says, that thing's dead. It's dead. It's standing up there because of the structure, but it's getting no water. It's dead. That has to come down. It's going to fall down. The first wind comes. That's TPUSA. It's dead. It's dead. It's over. And it died with Charlie. So whoever thought they could get away with it without him, nope, you killed the movement, which is another interesting wrinkle in the list of suspects. Would somebody who just didn't like the movement want it? Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Because remember, we don't know anything yet. Don't ever get into the position where we're saying, I know who did it. We don't know anything. We don't know. We still can't even get a lab result. And I'm not even sure where he was buried. But we'll get to that later. The case we're looking at right now is very, very important. It's not a criminal trial. It's not some courtroom drama, but it's really a question about influence and authenticity and real and the future direction of a movement that millions of Americans have invested their hopes in. A lot of young people are going to be very, very... It was funny. We lured them in, and then we said, oh, now that we've got your attention, sorry, my bad, our bad, it's over. And the question is this: who truly speaks for the next generation of conservative voices? That's really the thing. You know who's going to be? It's Candace. Now, I know Candace doesn't want to do this. Maybe she does. I've never talked to her about it. I've never talked to her at all. But she is ready to just fill in that void. Ready. And she is absolutely, positively the voice of absolute and total 100% reason. Candace has a very simple message. When have I ever lied to you? I say things that are truthful, even if it possibly hurts me. Even if it maybe hurts me. So what is it? Is it the voices? Is it the institution, or is it the individuals who command the attention of millions without asking really anybody's permission? I don't know. But right now is the time. Two things for sure. Let me repeat this. Number one, TPUSA is dead. It's over. It's done. Erica Kirk is a laughingstock. Get your money, get your life insurance, and get out of Dodge. You know, you want to go act? Go act. Good luck. But get out of this. Every day you're there, you suck more oxygen out of the room and you hurt the cause. You hurt more. You are destroying. And if it wasn't for all of these young people who really counted on somebody like Charlie to speak for them, if it wasn't for that, I'd say go ahead and do it. Nobody cares. But you know what? We care. Because I'm one of these people that, you know, when you get to a certain position in your life, you just want to look around and say, you know, who's next in charge? Who's next? You know, we're in the back nine. I mean, we can do a lot right now. But like everybody who's been building something historically, you always think about what's the next generation. You're always scouting. You're thinking about, you know, the Yankees, for example, are looking for the next 5-10 years down the road. They're scouting who's the next, you know, judge or whoever their names are. Anyway, because the fact is, when we examine the evidence, one name appears again and again and again and again and again, and that is Candace Owens. Candace Owens, I'm telling you, I'm not just trying to be nice. She is the voice. She'll do this for a while, but she's a commentator for a while, but she can lead people. Never in politics, never. Never. And by the way, she doesn't have to do anything other than this. She doesn't have to move. She doesn't have to change anything. Nothing. Nothing. She says, I'm going to lead you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you what to do. It may be more work. But I can see, very frankly, people turning to her writing a series of books, instructionals, because I think her view of the world, I think her view of morality and scripture and everything, and I like her. I love Charlie, was great. She's more my style. I say this with all due respect. Why? She's more, pardon my French, a ball buster. Rompece coglione. She just lets you have it. She doesn't play around with you. She's not trying to be diplomatic. She tells you the truth. Diplomacy's nice, to a point. To a point. To a point. You know, look, you know, we can talk, whenever we talk about transgender, it's nuts, okay? Stop all this. Pretend, well, you know, different, you know, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. It's crazy. It's nuts, okay? Now let's review the record. This is important. Before she had the backing of major organizations, before conferences and donor networks, Candace Owens built something far more difficult to manufacture: trust with an audience. Before anything she's doing now, she just came out of nowhere, and it was raw, and it was unmitigated, untrammeled, unadulterated trust. She did it through persistence. She did it through commentary that refused to follow safe talking points. And where a lot of people, myself included, said, Candace, are you sure you want to go there? She said, yeah, I want to go there. Okay. And lo and behold, she's still standing, and everybody else is just falling apart because they never met anything like this. Stop for a second. Name one person even closely resembling her. Not big mouths. Not. There's a lot of people in the world of whatever it is that we're doing. Name somebody. Name somebody. Who's Candace Owens Jr.? Nobody. Nobody. I'm not going to mention the names, but there have been some who've been very popular, and people who have, the usual, I'm going to interview this person. When you interview a lot of people, when you turn into a news program, that's great, and it's wonderful, and it's a very valuable piece of this. Candace is the news person. Through her willingness and her absolutely, her again, this indefatigable force, her willingness to address issues that others prefer to ignore, she's made a name for herself. And by the way, the rest was unmistakable. Millions began listening. I did. Not because a board of directors told us to listen, not because some communications department crafted a message. We started listening because we believed the voice was real. I'm telling you. It's like the bait. The bait. I took the bait. And you know what the bait was? Absolute 100% verity. Veridical. Truth. Verity. Absolute honesty. Truth. Now compare that to the nature of, institutions. Oh my God, this TPUSA. Has there ever been anybody in that group where you said, I like that guy? That's a guy, that's a guy I'd like. I wouldn't mind having watched my kid in the afternoon when I went to the store. What? No. Seriously. If you had a kid, grandkid, whatever, and you said, Candace, could you watch my child? Wouldn't you? Would you trust her? Yeah. That's the bottom line. Who would you trust? That's the bottom line. Would you say, hell no? Most of these people, especially that TPUSA crew, nah. Whoa. No. Because we know when there's something hinky, there's something weird going on. We don't know what the word is, but there's something strange. Let me just remind, organizations per se are not evil. I don't want to give you the wrong impression. They're not villains in some melodrama, but they are cautious by design. See, they protect their image, at least initially or ideally. And they protect their funding streams, theoretically, and they protect their brand. And sometimes that instinct for protection kind of collides with something essential in politics. Authenticity, truth, real, legit, keeping it real. Al Sharpton used to have this radio show called Keeping It Real. 4 people listened to it. More people listen to baby monitors than listen to this show. But he called it Keeping It Real. And if anybody never kept anything real or knew what the meaning of real was, other than real lousy, it was Al Sharpton. But I always thought that was the keeping it real. Is it real? It's like Antiques Roadshow or Pawn Shop. This is real. This is a Roman coin. Yes, this is a Civil War flintlocker. Yes, it is correct. See, it's about authenticity. It's about movements and movements that really don't run on brand management. They run on conviction. That's the bottom line. Candace is just perfect for this. I believe her. You might disagree with, well, I don't know if I would have said that, but I never question her veracity. Never question it. Never. With other people, and Charlie, God bless Charlie. God bless Charlie. God bless him. May he, rest in peace. But Charlie sometimes did some things for somebody who had such strong convictions. He's writing all this. I don't know about the Middle East, but I don't know about Iran. I don't know. I say, what do you mean? Why don't you tell? What are you keeping this quiet? Candace would have said, I'm not going to tweet this. I'm going to tell you. She tells you as soon as she thinks it. She doesn't have, you know how people say sometimes, use your inside voice. Now listen, Toby, use your inside voice. Use your inside voice. Okay. Candace doesn't have an inside voice. She tells you what she believes. You're not going to find text messages that she sent like she disbelieved what she said. No. So Charlie's saying all that. Again, I don't mean to in any way just besmirch the image of him. But let me tell you something. Conviction and real stick-to-itiveness rarely, survives inside a room where every statement's got to pass through committees and consultants and public relations. Candace built her influence outside that system. And that fact matters because it explains why her audience, And we're her audience. We continue to grow, even when institutions hesitate. She speaks directly to millions of people. Do you remember when do you ever watch Billy Graham? Billy Graham's Ministries. Nobody will ever get past Billy Graham. Billy Graham was an international phenom. He could go anywhere, fill stadiums, because they believed him. He wasn't that great of a speaker. I don't know why. You know how sometimes babies will look at people and say, I like that guy. You know how sometimes a dog will look at you and say, I like that guy. Sometimes we humans have this sense, this antennae, they go up and we say, I believe her. Candace speaks directly to millions of people who feel disconnected from the carefully polished and manicured language of political organizations, and we love it. We want clarity. We want courage. We want somebody who is willing to say what they are thinking without asking whether it will make, donors or people uncomfortable, the people feeding them, because that's all they cared about. TPUSA donors. Got to watch those donors. It's the donor class. Got to watch that merch. If somebody said, Candace, don't say this about whoever, well, your T-shirt sales are going to go. Say, what? What? You know and I know that Erica will say, oh, forget that then. Got to get that merch up. Hey, guys. Candace does exactly what I'm talking about. Now, let's look at the broader perspective, broader landscape. For years, organizations dominated political influence. They control the messaging. Organizations, they controlled events. There was CPAC and TPUSA and this PAC and this PAC, and it was always some group. And they controlled access. And did you ever see CPAC? CPAC. And CPAC is, they have this thing every year, and they got the CPAC, and you got the Ronald Reagan package. For $25,000, you get a breakfast, a box of lunch, and a framed picture of Ronald Reagan, and a speech by somebody you don't know. And for $50,000, it's like, okay, all right. I'm not speaking ill of that, but that's what they did. It was an organization. See, but technology changed all that. See, social media, streaming platforms, digital broadcasting, this new form of digital intimacy, it created a new, I hate this word, but I'll say ecosystem, where individuals could build enormous audiences without institutional permission. This is my organization, me, my wife and me. That's it. Ta-da! That's it. You want to see the committee? I'm the committee. I'm the committee. Other people do the same thing. And the first thing people want to do is whenever they get involved, they start branching up. Oh, I need a producer. I need this. I need that. And they think they're doing it. They think they're adding legitimacy to their message, when in fact they're making it. They're risking it. I'm not sure. I don't think Candace has a skeleton crew because the production value is so good. But she runs the show. She runs the show. I think her husband is a very powerful voice and rudder in this particular voyage. Well, suddenly, with this newfangled introduction, suddenly gatekeepers were no longer the only path to influence. Mm-hmm. The audience itself became the gatekeeper. We are the committee. We. And when the audience chooses a voice, these institutions can't simply manufacture a replacement. They can attempt to guide conversations, but they can attempt to shape narratives, but they can't erase the fact that millions of people, you and me, have already chosen whom we trust. And that is precisely the reality facing political organizations today. They're antiquated. It's not, let me try to make this, it's not about Candace, it's Candace's, again, I'm sorry, but I look like I got a barcode, but I kind of like this. It's groovy, it's weird, this lighting is weird. But Candace is the person. It's Candace. It's very simple to me, very, very simple. See, the center of gravity is shifting. It's moving away from these institutions and towards independent voices with massive reach. I swear to God, if you want to kill the message, make it an institution. Get a bunch of people together. Because all of a sudden, the organization breaks down into the cellular granular level, and then each person tries to maintain their own particular avenue, their fiefdom. And in that environment that we're talking about, Candace Owens occupies a position that cannot be duplicated. So the question is, my friend, what happens next? Where does she go next? Well, let me tell you what's going next. Number one, We've got to understand something here. First, let's go through this litany. Number one, we started off, I think I speak for you and for me. We started off not necessarily, we don't hate anybody. I didn't know this Erica Kirk from Adam. I didn't know who she was. I thought, at first, okay, another, I don't want to use words like bimbo. It sounds like it's sexist, but it's not. When you call somebody an a-hole, some guy, hey, you're an a-hole, you're a deek. What is that? Is that sexist? No, he's a jerk. Bimbos, airheads, ne'er-do-wells, people who are, oh my God. The people who are trying to, I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you people that we don't trust. But I didn't have any reason to believe, and I never heard Erica Kirk. I never heard it. And I keep saying again, I went into this thing open-minded. I said, okay. Then I realized, oh my God, this is Erica. Oh my God. And we have, frankly, I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be crude, but it's a bullshit meter. And we know immediately. When that thing goes off, we know exactly what's going on. You're kidding me. We know it. And I said this before and I'll say it again. Women in particular knew that she wasn't legit. Sorry. And it just happened. And once, it's like a Jenga piece. Once you pull this out, it's like, oh my God, it was like an avalanche. We couldn't get enough. I didn't even know. It's like, is anybody watching this? And meanwhile, TPUSA, they were just counting their money and said, what? Any of you folks watching this in America? Yeah, sure. How's the merch doing? Great. And this was from before. See, they were still counting the money from before Charlie and certainly after Charlie, when chapters were opening up. Who's going to run a chapter now? What is TPUSA now? They're going to associate it with this. I'm sorry, she's not that bright. That's a problem too. Charlie was brilliant. Charlie really knew his stuff. He knew facts. She knows nothing. Recently, changing the subject a little bit, you know what people were the most fascinated by when it comes to Epstein? You know what it was? It was the fact that he was an idiot. Nobody really listened to him. It's like, he's an idiot. Goes to show you. See, when you have money, I've seen this all my life. When you meet somebody, the more they have, the more power people think you have, the more popular you are. Even though you're an idiot, and people think, well, he must know something. You can't get that powerful being an idiot. Yeah, you can. It doesn't take brains to do this. It really does. I mean, it helps, but you don't need it. You don't need it. Half of the people in politics today, they're not the brain trust. They're not deep thinkers. These people aren't of the the Renaissance minds of the world. So it comes down to simply this: TPUSA. This is gone. It's gone. It's that tree that they're saying, oh, it's dead, and you better cut it down because it's going to fall down on its own, or it's going to hurt somebody. But you better start wrapping this baby up because it can't be salvaged. It's dead. The water is just not taking. When Charlie died, that was it. Number two, Erica. And by the by, the reason why you're going to see this sooner than later is when they start talking about Doge and where'd that money go and all the donors and that's why they've got to wrap this baby up and somehow put their money elsewhere, go overseas, do something, maybe go into more orphanages, call Oprah, I don't know what, but it's over. Number two, Erica, this thing has run its course. It's run its course. There was a show years ago when I was a kid called This Is Your Life with Ralph Edwards. This Is Your Life. And Ralph Edwards would bring people. I remember they had Boris Karloff one time. It was so interesting. Boris Karloff, it was fantastic. Boris Karloff. He was such a nice man. And one time, the funniest one I ever saw was Junior Samples. Remember him from Hee Haw? Junior Samples cried. There he goes, and Junior, you probably don't know this voice. Hi, Junior. And he started, oh my God. It was his first grade teacher. I thought he was going to die. It was a great show. But anyway, Ralph Edwards would have this book and said, and here's your first grade teacher, and your first job, and here's your first girlfriend, here's your first kiss. That's nothing. When Candace does This Is Your Life, it's over. It's over. And then your mother got her second LLC, and then that went bankrupt, and then your real father and your grifter family say, oh my, stop this. Where did she get this from? everything. And then here's your past. Here's your aliases. It's like a credit report. Have you ever lived here? This is the name you used. These are all of the people you've slept with. This is all of the lies, everything you can imagine. And I'll bet you she and her family didn't know half of that. I mean it. I mean it. Have you seen this? All of a sudden, here's a picture from the first grade. Here's her yearbook picture. Who's sending her third grade yearbook? They had yearbooks? How do you get this? And the Brigitte Macron, oh my God. Brigitte, do us a favor. I used to think in the old days you had a chance, honey. Not anymore. I would punt that as soon as possible. Get out of Dodge, because it ain't going to be pretty. And you know, let me leave you with the most important thing in the world. The worst thing in the world, the worst thing to hear is when Candace says, I got it. Candace, are you sure about this? Oh, yeah. Candace, are you sure about what you said about Macron? Oh, yeah. That's the scariest thing. Remember, two things she said about that. Number one, she wasn't going to do anything until Emmanuel, the hubby, decides to go after her. And number two, the same thing happened with Erica when they started coming after her. When all of these minions and these robots and these bots and these proxies started giving her a hard time. Like that idiot, Mr. Eyebrow, Ben Shapiro, who just, he doesn't even know. Ben Shapiro is so delusional, he doesn't understand that he's Ben Shapiro. He doesn't understand he doesn't understand how we view him. I mean, I always thought he was kind of a like a blowhard, but never like this. I mean, never. She really changed this thing. She changed everything. I mean, she really changed. Let me tell you, the person that, I've been thinking about this, the person who really changed a lot of stuff was Rush. I worked with Rush. I knew him. We were in the same floor, but I knew him. Saw when he was at his peak. And if Rush said, I'm voting for this, when a president of the United States comes for his endorsement, when people come for his endorsement, he was. I mean, he was the biggest thing around, period. Never to this day has there ever been anything like that. Never. Where you're seeking endorsements, where if he said vote for this, vote for that, he was the Republican Party. And here's the thing which is the most important. And I keep saying this, especially if you're younger, and if you are the next generation, if you're somebody who's going to pick up the ball and take this on. First, please eliminate these words, conservative and liberal. Please. They don't mean anything anymore. They really don't. They don't mean anything. They used to mean something, but they've been co-opted by people for so long that they didn't mean nothing. There was a time, believe it or not, when there was a guy, Ronald Reagan, if he saw what was going on with war right now, he would go crazy. He said, what is this? He was a paleo-conservative. Again, we get into these names. Not a neoconservative, not a neoliberal. There's all these names and gradations. Forget the names, forget it. You start off with a core value system. And one is tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. Just tell me the truth. And then later on we'll decide what we do with the truth. But you have to figure out, what do we do? Do we get our affairs in order? What do we do? Tell me the truth. You don't want doctors lying to you. You don't want to be lied to. You want to just tell me the truth. I'll figure out what's happening next. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't mollycoddle me. Don't be saccharine or anodyne. Just tell me the truth. And that's what she's doing. And the potential that she has right now is something that I don't think anybody can even put into perspective. I honestly, God, I do not. So I thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you immensely. Thank you. And by the way, on a personal note, you have been so kind. I told you this, I'm going to say it again. For the longest time, I never looked at comments. I thought, because people will write this stuff, this online, this hatred. Not everybody, but sometimes I think, what did I say? But when you're doing it for a while, you get used to it. But I think by virtue of being introduced to, I think, maybe either Candace's audience or like-minded people or whatever it is, I find that there has been revealed to me this incredible group of people that I really want to know and get to be a part of. Whatever group I was with, I don't know who these people were, but they were not at times the nicest. And what you've done to my wife, and by supporting her, it means so much to me. I've asked you to follow her on YouTube at Lynn's Warriors. I live with her, which is one of the benefits of marrying. But I live with her intellectual modalities, her concerns, her passions. And when you say things to me like child predation, human trafficking, it's a different world. When I see and have heard, and through her met and heard victims through their families of how children have been targeted, specifically not by the guy in the white van, but by digital predation, you can't believe it. She talks about very serious pieces of legislation that are being upended and destroyed by people that should know better. A lot of them theoretically hardcore conservative Republicans. That's why these labels mean nothing. You wouldn't believe the people who 99% of the time they're crazy. But when it comes to protecting children, all of a sudden the people that we thought were idiots, they make the most sense. You talk about telling you the truth, she tells you the truth. So thank you for following Lynn's Warriors. Listen to it. Listen to her stories. Listen. You can't believe these people. You can't believe this until you've been in a room with people standing around with pictures of their children who have self-harmed, and you see the look on their faces. It just... So, thank you. Thank you for that. Follow Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Show her support, because this is... Everything that I'm saying now, this is important, but none of it's as important as that. None of it. None of it. That's life or death. This is life or death, I think, of intellectual movements. Very, very important. Very, very critical also. And also, please like this video. You know how that works. I put some questions up. So the bottom line is simply this. Number one, Candace, this is your world. Never think about running for office. The minute you run for office, you're co-opted. You're done. You're finished. Stick a fork in it. You can do so much. You have been handed something, and you have a talent that Charlie didn't even have. Charlie was very smart, very, very brave, but Candace is, and I say this beautifully, I say this with all due respect, she's dangerous in the best way possible. Her truth can hurt the bad guys. She's lethal. She's like this is a terrible analogy, but she's like chemotherapy that goes right after the source, the cancer, this thought cancer, this truth cancer, goes right for it. She's serious. And that's why people can't stand her. And remember, like I said, you only take flack when you're over the target. And she's taking flack because she's over the target. Thank you, my friends. Thank you so very much for being a part of this. Thank you for honoring me with your support, with your love. And as a great Cam Fong and his Chin Ho said on Hawaii 5-0, we're all in this together, brother. Thank you. And now, my friends, as I say, comment as you see fit.